Hello to everyone. Thank you all for joining me at this time. My name is Shavi Zane, and I'm coming on to have a discussion with you all. In regards to, first, I want to start off talking to you all about a dream that I had. It's very short. In this dream, I was indoors, but I was observing a plant. It was me and another person standing next to me. We were observing a plant because we noticed that the plant, every once in a while, it would do something like this with the leaves. And mind you, we're indoors, okay? So we're not outside where the wind's blowing or anything of that nature, but the plant just kept doing this. And so I looked over at the person that was standing next to me and I'm like, "Do you see that?" And they was like, "Yeah, the plant is actually moving." So there were other people indoors with us, okay? A large crowd of people actually. And so we called them over and we was like, "Do y'all see what the plant is doing?" And so we stood there. It took a long time and the plant did nothing, okay? And so that's the only thing that I can remember from this dream. Now, I find that to be pretty interesting because a couple of days prior, I was going to come on and bring a message called The Secret They Wanted to Keep Hidden, right? And so it's in regards to the book that came out. I believe it was back in around 2006. Okay, I don't exactly remember the author, but I remember Oprah was pushing it. And this book called The Secret was to bring some enlightenment in regards to the mind and how the mind create things, and how if you use your thoughts you can manifest, and using energy and things of that nature, right? Things that was not being spoken about prior, or if people had an understanding of this, it definitely was not well known to the masses. And so that's why the book was called The Secret, because they felt that they were revealing something to the majority who had been asleep to this knowledge, which it makes sense because the powers that were naturally would not want the majority to understand that your mind literally creates your reality, whether you are consciously doing it or unconsciously doing it and just passively allowing other forces to dictate your existence for you. Your mind, your fears, your apprehensions, your insecurities, your lack of confidence, your lack mentality, all of these things is working with those forces who are pushing a specific narrative, social conditioning, religious belief systems, and just fear tactics that those who are unconsciously living, you end up working with the powers that were to help them to create the type of energy that they desire for you to project, especially as a group consciousness. So the majority of society was underneath this spell, okay? And so getting back to the dream, what was shown to me is that myself and the person that was standing next to me, I can't remember if it was a male or female, but whoever was standing next to me, when we were observing this plant, we saw the life in the plant. We saw the plant actually having personality, okay? And moving as if it was alive, which plants are alive, right? And so it wasn't until we called over others who obviously did not believe that this could actually happen. At that point, the plant would not react. The plant stopped moving. And this was after a long time of observing, because at this point, me and this person is trying to prove to these people, like, yeah, the plant really was moving. Literally, it was just doing this for us, and we both saw it. But it's because they did not believe that the plant stopped its movement, it stopped its expression. And so it just shows you that you receive the vision, you receive the understanding when you are ready, and when you are no longer hypnotized underneath the conditioning. Okay, if you have strong opposition to an understanding in terms of what this thing is outside of the matrix, then likely you will purposely unsee, or these things will purposely not reveal themselves to you because you're not ready for it. So, coming into the age of Aquarius now, since we are in the age of Aquarius, this is the time of awakening, okay, where nothing can be hidden. And so this is why many of those who were actually operating underneath that knowledge that your thoughts create things, and they were actually creating their reality based off of that secret knowledge. Now, these things can no longer be tucked up underneath a rug where people no longer have the option to know the truth. Now you're being presented with the red pill or the blue pill. Red pill representing you seeing things through your spiritual eyes and coming out of the matrix, coming out of this false illusion or this false reality that others have created for you. Blue pill meaning you stay asleep and you pretty much allow society and conditioning to dictate how much you know about your existence here. So the question is, what pill are you taking? Because apparently in my dream, myself and that person had already taken the red pill. So we were already, it was easy for us to see that life exists in the plant and that the plant has character, it has a personality and all of these things because we accepted that as being a possibility. Whereas the majority that was there did not get a chance to experience it because they did not accept it as being a possibility. And so this is that time. We're moving into year number 7 now, where you have the opportunity to see past the veil. Because see, the energy, let me tell y'all something, and I want to know specifically, just leave a comment below if you've been experiencing something similar. Now, if you go back and look at my community, if you press community on my channel, you'll see that I have a series of photos. These photos are things that have been shown to me through nature. I have literally pictures of trees that form together to show the face of to show faces, actual faces, okay, in trees and in bushes, okay? And these types of things cannot be ignored when your spiritual eyes are open, when you see and you recognize that there's infinite possibilities out here and that life exists beyond animals, sea creatures, and human beings, insects. Life exists beyond that. And I already have accepted the fact that the trees are alive, the plants are alive, the flowers are alive, everything has life. Everything comes together to create a larger energy. And so this is why, I am a tree hugger. I am that person that will go outside and hug trees. And I have experienced what it felt like to have heavy weight lifted up off of my shoulders just from embracing a tree, because I recognize that there is life and wisdom in that tree. How deeply embedded are you in the matrix to the point where you will refuse to see the reality outside of the illusion, even if it's handed to you? The opportunity is handed to you to see the truth. But how deeply are you embedded and committed to the matrix is the question coming up in year number 7. Because this is the time of spiritual awakening. This is the time the number 7 deals with all things spiritual. And so that's why many of those who are life path number 7s end up taking a path that's that deals with something spiritual, something about spiritual growth and evolution. I myself am a life path number 7. 7 is all up and through every aspect of my life, whether it's my name number, my actual date of birth, my life path number. I mean, it's all up and through. And so I want to know how many of you have been experiencing, because it's like becoming a daily thing now for me. I'll give you an example. The other day, I was here and I was taking a nap and I was so exhausted. And generally I take like little cat naps, maybe 2-3 minutes, and then I bounce back up because, I got a lot of children, so I always have to be on alert. And so I'm laying here and I'm taking a nap, and my oldest son comes in and he's asking me to get him something out the refrigerator. And I'm like, give me 30 minutes. So I fall off into this really, really deep sleep. He comes back in. It literally felt like he came back in 1 minute later. And he's like, Mom, can I get, I said, and so I was, he woke me up out of my sleep now. So I did yell at him. I was like, it hasn't been 30 minutes. And so, literally, not even a second later, my daughter was sitting next to me on the bed with her tablet. And whatever show she was watching, there was a little girl that screamed out, it's been 30 minutes already. And these are the types of things that's been happening for me on a regular basis. I think about something and it's said on TV right afterwards. I'm talking to someone about something and it's being shown on in a song or in a commercial or something that my children is watching. They repeat it like right afterwards. I'll think of something and my children will say it right afterwards. So I know that the veil is very thin when it comes to that division between the spiritual and the physical. And I feel like our gifts, whatever gifts you naturally have, are being heightened. Okay. So much so that things like this is becoming the norm for me, but I'm still in awe of it at the same time because I haven't had too many people say that they're experiencing this. And that's why I would like to know, because one thing that we do know about this matrix that has been created by the powers that were is that one of their greatest tactics against those of us who have natural gifts to see through the veil is to always use the term that you're crazy, you're a psychopath, you have schizophrenia, you have all of these mental diagnoses. Anything outside of a healthy minded individual, you are everything but that if you have spiritual gifts. And so, quite often, many people end up suppressing their spiritual experiences because the majority around them are walking zombies. And the majority around them are afraid of anything that goes outside of what they consider to be the norm. And so, like I said, those are the people who remain asleep. Those are the sheeple that are, you know, pretty much being guided and led throughout their entire life by a shepherd, by the gatekeepers, right? Those who say, oh no, we got a sheep that's getting out of line, so we need to go and catch them and make sure that we put them back to sleep because we need them to maintain obedience to our system. And the moment that you step outside of that box, what happens? They call you crazy and delirious, and then they go and try to give you a whole bunch of pills. In the movie The Matrix, I found to be pretty interesting. Now, this is The Matrix. I don't know if this is the second one. I feel like it was called Matrix Reloaded or Matrix. I don't know. This is where Neo had the really long hair. It might have been the most recent one. I don't know. But in this Matrix, he was working at a place where he created games, like video games. And the video game was fashioned, it was about the Matrix. And he pretty much was fashioning this video game off of what he saw, like his spiritual gifts. He was placing all of that energy into creating these video games. And he had many gatekeepers surrounding him, but he did not know that they were gatekeepers, meaning these are people who was monitoring him to ensure that he did not wake up from his sleep state. And he had a psychiatrist that he would go and see, and this psych doctor would always make sure that he put him back to sleep. The moment that Neo seemed like he was awakening, he would put him right back to sleep using psych medications. And so Neo found himself, awakening. It's like he couldn't stop this awakening from happening because these visions kept, they was becoming more and more common, like they was occurring more often. And so he found himself shoving all of these blue pills, because remember, the blue pill represents going back to sleep and shutting down your spiritual vision. So he's shoving these blue pills down his throat, which is his psych meds that's being prescribed by his psych doctor, to try and avoid what he was feeling, to try and put his gift of seeing past the matrix back to sleep. But he found that it was becoming too overwhelming for him to try and shut down something so powerful, because apparently it was time for him to wake up. And no matter how much he tried to go back to sleep, he just could not do it. And so, in his sleep state, though, everyone around him was profiting off of his natural ability to see through the matrix. They had him put all of that vision into a video game, making them millions and millions of dollars, while he sat back miserable, still wavering, trying to figure out what was real versus what was fake. They was profiting off of his spiritual gifts while keeping him at bay and doing the best that they could to keep him from seeing the truth of his reality. And that is a direct reflection of what has been happening in our existence, okay? For a very long time, the powers that were, those of you who have these spiritual gifts are the Neos, if you want to compare it to the movie itself. And I didn't get a chance to watch the whole movie because I kept falling asleep, but I remember waking up at a part where it said that Neo, the woman that he was in love with in the movie, they said something like, we needed to keep you all just close enough, but not too close in order to keep our agenda going. And so there's also this energy that the powers that were have in terms of keeping the divine masculine and feminine close enough to siphon the energy from these unions, but not too close to where they can come together to shift the energy of the universe. That energy of pure love that comes from the divine masculine and feminine after you and your partner have risen into your own divinity is powerful enough to shake and to destroy this entire structure. It will help to also awaken your own personal gifts when you come into union with your person. Because naturally, when you come into union with your own individual, internal masculine and feminine energy, that's when your personal abilities begin to awaken and strengthen. So imagine it becomes that much more amplified when you are in union with your divine partner who has also done the work to balance out their own masculine and feminine. And so when you put it all together, you begin to see that the truth is being revealed, and whether you're ready for it or not, it's going to come to pass. You're going to come to a crossroads where you end up having to choose red pill or blue pill. And how far are you willing to go to keep yourself asleep? Because you're going to see the signs. You're going to see the synchronicities. You're going to have these very unusual experiences. Your dream state is going to become more vivid. You're going to have more, like telepathic energy where you can sense another person's intentions. You can sense the energy that another person is bringing into your presence. These things are going to become more heightened whether you are ready for it or not. But are you going to choose to unsee? The more of us that awaken, I feel like the more of us who are chosen for this path that continue to awaken, the more that the universal energy of life is going to continue to it's going to become more apparent, more obvious to the point where the powers that were can no longer say that we're the crazy ones, because it's going to be so many of us having very similar experiences that we are openly expressing and no longer hiding, that they can no longer come through and say, well, you need to take some psych meds so that you can shut that thing down, so that you can calm it down a little bit. Because see, you're getting out of the gate now. And as the gatekeeper, it is my position to ensure that you do not awaken. It's going to get to a point, it's going to come to a place very soon where it's going to be so many people experiencing similar spiritual experiences and openly expressing them that the enemy will no longer be able to use that lie to say that you have mental issues, all because your gifts are awakened, all because you see past the illusion that they have created for yourself and society and your ancestors and your offsprings, because they needed us to march to the beat of their drum. They needed to train our minds to think, to feel, to believe whatever narrative they handed us through the music, the media, the politics, the religious structures, okay? The school systems. It's all indoctrination. And the majority of society fell right in line with it, not knowing that they were being put up underneath hypnosis, spell work, dark magic that would keep them asleep and being heavily influenced. They would then, under that sleep state, their reality, you're still creating your reality with your mind, but remember, your mind at that point has been hijacked, because everything that you believe to be true is based on what someone else conditioned you to believe. And so at that point, you are working with them to create a reality that keeps them in power and you at the bottom. And so now, like I said, with that book, The Secret, coming out, the powers that were recognizes that they can no longer keep this hidden. And so they do want to kind of, if they're going to feed you some of the truth, they want to make sure that they keep this thing under control. They want to ensure that you don't see too much. No, don't wake up too much now. You know, they know that they have to reveal the truth, though, that nothing can be hidden because of the times that we're in. But at the same time, they're monitoring very closely to ensure that you don't step into your power too much. Don't awaken your spiritual gifts too much. So they kind of spoon feed you the truth. And so this is where you have to use your own discernment. Go within, quiet your mind, get into a space of sobriety, clean up your system, fast, take spiritual baths, do writing, burning, and releasing, break the generational curses. It's so many different things that have to be done in order for you to evolve in a space where you're able to see. I just saw 2222 on my timer. It's a process to be able to be receptive in your energy enough to receive the messages, a clear signal. Because if you have a lot of junk and toxicity within you, and I'm not just talking about your actual diet, which is important, you want to make sure that you balance that. But I'm talking about the toxicity of what you're feeding your mind. What are you listening to? What are you allowing into your vision? What are you picking up on subconsciously? What type of people are you hanging around? What type of spirits are you attracting to yourself based on your daily habits? Even when it comes to your sexual interactions and connections, who are you sharing your vessel with on a spiritual level? Who are you making soul ties with? All of these play a major factor in how clear your reception is when it comes to being able to receive these spiritual uploads. That's what I like to call them. The veil is so thin for me personally, because on this side of the path that I'm on, I recognize that there's infinite possibilities out here. And so the shock factor is still there because I'm still being exposed to new things, but I'm not surprised at the same time because I expect that there's much more out here than what I have experienced in this short period of time that I've been here in this avatar, in this vessel. But I recognize that I'm a spirit having a human experience. And so for me, I anticipate that there's going to be a lot more receptivity, many more messages that are going to come through, many more personal experiences that I'm going to have. And I'm not afraid to openly communicate what I'm experiencing, because for me, if a person calls me crazy, I take that as a compliment, because it verifies to me that I am no longer a sheeple. I am no longer a walking zombie, and that my uniqueness stands out so much to the world that it's then coined as crazy. And I'm perfectly fine with that. But we're turning the tables now. Things are turning, things are shifting drastically to the point where people like you and I will be the ones that are sane. And the ones who continue to walk blindly towards their own demise are the ones who most certainly are the true people that have mental instability. So I just thought that that was interesting. I would really love to see what you all have to say about your own personal experiences when it comes to this, and just get prepared. Like I said, we're moving into year number 7, and so things are going to be quite different when it comes to your experience. And this is why it's so important to experience life, not just passively live through it, overly focused and consumed by materialism and your carnal nature. You want to rise higher. You want to be operating from your heart chakra on up, on a higher plane, on a higher vibration, because the energy is becoming more heightened in the atmosphere. And so you want to be able to keep up with where we're headed here as a collective group of people. Now, of course, the powers that were want to try to do something to offset that and to pretty much to bring it to an end. They want to stop it all the way across the board, but they realize that they cannot, because their timing is up. But what they want to do is prolong it, okay? And by prolonging it, as long as they can create fear, fear is their greatest weapon. As long as they can create fear tactics, if they can put you in a space of lack mentality where you're overly consumed and focused on what you have versus what you don't have, if they can send karmic relationships into your life so that you're overly consumed with heartbreak, pain, being abused and misused, then that keeps you from experiencing life. And when you're not experiencing what most people see as being the ordinary, then you miss out on a lot of messages, okay? Because for me, nature is therapeutic. Being connected to nature is something that I need in order to stay charged and balanced, okay? We all need it, but we have become so conditioned in thinking that, oh, that's just outside. That's just a tree. Oh, yeah, the sun is shining. That's great. Oh, yeah, the moon is here. Oh, the stars are shining. Oh, yeah, okay, it's beautiful outside. The wind is blowing, but you take no consideration into the fact that all of these things are life expressing itself in different forms. And so just like in the dream where I was able to see that the plants are truly alive, that they have true personality, okay? Myself and whoever that other person was, then there was also the majority who could not see, who did not want to see, they did not want to believe, and so therefore they missed out on an experience that would have awakened something within them. So this is where you have a choice. Moving into year number 7, dealing with the spiritual path, spirituality, red pill. Do you want to see the truth outside of this matrix? Are you ready to awaken and to tap into your own spiritual gifts and to become the co-creator of your life, knowing that the Most High has granted you this gift, this authority, if you choose to do the work to offload all of that negative energy and the conditioning, to do a total reset, total death and rebirth? You gonna take the red pill and start taking back control of your life and to receive your inheritance, your birthright, and your sovereignty? Or are you going to take the blue pill that keeps you in zombie land, that keeps you as a sheeple surrounded by gatekeepers, that keeps your spiritual gifts asleep, that keeps you in your carnal ways and stuck in materialism, stuck on the negative hamster wheel cycle of the same repeated karmic lessons over and over again, and take that into the next lifetime just to have to come back and do all of that again? Which direction are you going to go? Because you see the signs, you see the synchronicities, it's being put in your face, but you have an opportunity to either dive deeper to see what is being revealed to you, or ignore it and say, that's just a coincidence. That's just pseudo mess. That's just this and that's just that. Those people are crazy. You make the choice, because free will is given to everyone. But just know that with every choice, there is a direct impact and consequence. So that's the message that I have for you all today. I would love to see your comments. Please be sure to like and subscribe to my channel. And of course, if you want a private reading from me, email me. If you want to donate to my channel, you can donate to $Green 82212. And thank you to everyone who has been donating to my channel, as well as those of you who are reaching out for personal readings. I try to get back to everyone as quickly as I can, but sometimes I do get a little flooded and overwhelmed with emails, and that's why sometimes when I take long hiatus from doing these videos, it's because I'm still doing personal readings outside of these videos. But this message needed to come forward because my dream confirmed that I needed to speak about it for those of you who are wavering and trying to figure it out. So I love you all, and I'll talk to you all next time.